Welcome to another Petersburg By Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Pete by Night Twitch channel where we play St. Petersburg by Night, a massive multiplayer 5th edition World of Darkness Chronicle set in the city of St. Petersburg and Tampa. My name is Kent, also known as Misha Kent on all social media. I am the lead storyteller of St. Pete by Night, and I'm the storyteller of Rage Across Tampa, which is what you're here to see tonight, our Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition Chronicle set in the city of Tampa. We're here on episode 30, which is a prestigious, auspicious, and amazing occasion, to say the very least. Who knew that we would make it this far? And we've got a lot farther to go as the hunt for Bloody Mary continues. But I couldn't do this alone, of course. I would need a pretty amazing cast of characters. Some would say the most amazing cast of characters, and I'm lucky enough to say that I almost got there. Let's go ahead and introduce the players now. Players, take it away.
Hey everybody, my name's Preston. I play Aiden Goodspeed, the Arun of the Gale Stalkers.
Hi everybody, I'm Champ Champagne. Call me that me espresso because I know I Mountain Dew it for ya. Whatever you want to call me, and I'll be playing Aspen Weiss, Philodox of the Silverfangs.
Hi everybody, I'm Nori. I'll be playing Malicious Jester, the Galliard of the Black Furies.
Hey everybody, I'm Walks, and I will be playing Lucas Shaw, the Ragabash of the Shadow Lords.
Champ, I'm going to give that one an A- today, just because I liked it, but I didn't know what it was from. So, because I couldn't pin the reference, but it was good on its own merits. So you're going to get an A- on that one, which I think is more than reasonable. Anyway, let's get into the story. So last week, we had some suspicions mounting, growing amongst the pack, whether it was with one another, whether it was with the forces outside. Lucas and Aiden had a rather interesting confrontation, neither of them willing to budge until a challenge was issued. The first one to bring back a living kindred would win the challenge. Now, of course, one could say they didn't follow all the proper procedures of issuing a challenge, but the challenge was accepted and they immediately went off on the hunt to capture a kindred. They found one, They hunted them down, they engaged in combat with them, but when they attempted to stake this particular kindred, the kindred exploded in front of their very eyes, this vampire turning to nothing but dust, as those who know the kindred know that some of them fall to a certain affliction known as stake bait. And this happened to be an affliction this particular kindred suffered from. Meanwhile, Aspen went to speak with Matthias Morningkill, her mentor, to see what the details of the arrangement that they had made would be. Little did she know, it was more than she had probably expected going into that arrangement, for instead of asking for money or land or power over the pack and the newly formed sept, Morningkill said that it was an investment in a reformation of sorts amongst the nation, as all throughout the country and the world, the nation has been fracturing. It has been cracking and falling by the wayside as pacts and septs give in to their own personal interests, and the unity that once bound the great Guru nation has been showing some weaknesses, to say the very least. In his stead, as Matthias returned out to the state of Oregon, he left behind Charles. Charles, a fellow Silverfang, his own flesh and blood, as it would seem, a nephew that goes by the last name of Albrecht, and those who know their World of Darkness lore know the importance of the last name Albrecht. But Matthias also left a story with Aspen, the story of the Silver Crown, an ancient relic of Silverfang lore that establishes leadership, but only to those who deserve the power to wield it. Now, he didn't send her on a specific mission to achieve the crown, but instead left behind the lesson that if you are truly a good leader, you don't need a crown to make you powerful. You don't need magic to enforce your will. If you are a good leader, those who deserve your leadership will follow willingly. Aspen, with this fresh in her mind, came back to the pack to discover the ongoing challenge going between Aiden and Lucas, and to say that she was less than pleased is an understatement. Meanwhile, Jester continued her search for the whereabouts and the status of Mia, but came back with very little results. Working with Artie, she discovered that Mia had entered into the 100 North Tampa building, the large skyscraper that caps and even reaches into the clouds up above, the tallest building in downtown Tampa, the one they'd been investigating for quite some time now for vampire activity. But she has not emerged since, and her fate is still unknown. This week, the pack divides once more, set upon individual assignments, or at least smaller group assignments. Lucas and Jester being sent out to investigate the cult of Fenris that had set up shop in the city, while Aiden, Aspen, and Charles go to meet with Spud, an interesting new contact from the vampire side of things, who may be able to provide some interesting information as well as some advantage against these mysterious leeches who the pack knows very little about other than the encounters that they've had in the past. So tonight, our story begins with Aiden and Aspen. As Charles drives the luxury vehicle that you find yourselves in, making your way towards the plasma bank where you're supposed to meet with Spud, the two of you have a moment to talk, as Charles insisted that you both sit in the back seat and given some time to discuss. So as you drive down the long and winding streets throughout the city of Tampa, the scene is yours.
Aspen will be looking out the window, kind of avoiding any contact with Aiden at the moment, thinking specifically about what information Spud has and what we're getting ourselves into, and all the crazy amount of things she has to do, and how her pack is going to interact with those things, and what more bullshit she's going to have to deal with in the future.
Aiden will be looking out the other window every now and then, kind of looking back towards Aspen to see if she'd made eye contact or any movement towards him, contemplating the decisions that he's made, trying to wrap around his head what mistakes he has made other than the misinformation that he was providing. Eventually, he will look over and kind of give her a slight shove. Hey, do we have a rough plan for what we're wanting to do with meeting with Spud?
Well, we have to ask him what he knows, what information he can give us, and we go from there. There's not much we can really plan for because we don't know what information he has.
Well, we know that there's some leech activity happening at this plasma thing. Are we
Right.
wanting to move forward with, I don't know, are you wanting to take out this thing, or are we doing just checking it out, seeing what's going on, and then waiting?
Well, as far as right now, we're not going to just go in and figure out what's happening. We need the pack together. And since we're not all together, it would be stupid of us to make any moves that would put any of us in danger.
Okay. Fun. You
Yeah,
good?
so
Aiden, what's going through your mind right now, having had a rather tough confrontation with Aspen, being put on, well, being babysat now as you were working with Aspen instead of going with Jester to investigate the cult, the one that you had primarily been responsible for discovering, the ones that you had, for the most part, been in charge of keeping an eye on. Now you're being relegated to emissary duty, effectively, or bodyguard duty for Aspen. So what's going through your mind at this point?
Confusion is where he's kind of sitting. He is trying to wrap his head around the idea of why he is doing this instead of going and keeping an eye on the cult. From what his understanding is that they're fighting the leeches now, and so he's trying to figure out why she's so upset and trying to get that idea. And he's a little upset because he wants to see what the cult's doing, and now he's having to send other people out, and that is frustrating him a little bit. But he's trying to keep that at bay. But he's more just confused than anything.
And how is Aspen feeling about this? You chose this assignment, you gave people their tasks. Why did you choose to take Aiden with you? And how is Aspen handling her feelings about the situation, considering the opportunity that's in front of them?
So the reason she brought Aiden with her and left Lucas with Jester is because she has to separate them because they can't play nice. And they are becoming problems for her. So the best thing to do is to separate the two of them. At the moment, the one she trusts more is Aiden. So she brought Aiden. But she knows that Jester will keep an eye on Lucas, and she's got a softer hand when it comes to things like that. So she thinks that Jester would do much better with Lucas than she would, because she is sassy, and I don't think Lucas would handle that well. But as far as everything goes, she's just trying to get a foothold somewhere and make the pack come together again and have a group cause, so that there's not these offside things happening because people have their own goals and ambitions that they want to pursue. If she can get enough information that brings everybody together, then she thinks that it'll help. So that's what she's focusing on. And also, she doesn't want to talk to Aiden about it because she's still very angry at him.
Without saying anything, or without moving from the front seat, Charles says, "We're about 10 minutes out."
Thank you, Charles. So, Aiden, do you have any plans on where you would like to be when we have this interaction? Would you like to be with me? Do you want to be off somewhere else just in case? What would you like to do?
As far as when we first go see Spud, I think I should be there, just because I think Spud trusts me in a way. But afterwards, I can, if you and Charles want to head in there, I can take a step back if that's what you're wanting.
Just wondering what you're wanting to do. I'd like you to be around so we all have the same information, but just wanted to make sure that you are in a good, advantageous spot if anything were to happen.
Okay. Yeah, I can go. I'll go with you.
Okay. I might have Charles stick around outside just to make sure we're all good.
Well, he seems like he's good at talking, from little that he does say.
He's wonderful. Yeah.
So what's his? I know that he's from what's his name? The morning kill guy.
He
So
Charles, it's his nephew.
that's okay. Sure, but family, right?
Right.
Okay. So what's his deal? Like, why is he here? Nothing against you, Charles. Just curious.
You could ask him if you'd like. Make friends.
Sure, Charles. Why are you here?
Charles ponders the question for a moment as he continues driving. After a few moments, I suppose the same reason you are.
Okay. I didn't really answer the question itself. My reasons can be mine, but I want to know why you're here.
I was given a task, a responsibility. I handle my responsibilities, and I see them done.
Good talk, Charles.
He's here to protect me and the pack as a whole.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, so it seems you two have very similar goals.
We could, yeah. Sure, we can make that happen.
Mr. Morningkill believes this place has value, sees a great deal of respect in Miss Weiss. I'm here to make sure that's correct.
I can guarantee you that his thoughts are correct. Aspen is doing a great job, and she will make sure that everything gets done in the way that she thinks needs to be done. I don't think she needs a babysitter, though. That's my thought. She does things quite well by herself.
True. I'm just here to make sure her problems go away, whatever those problems may be.
So you're gonna be here for a while.
As long as I'm needed.
Charles is here to make sure everything stays in order because it seems that that is an issue for me. So he's here to help with that.
What's not in order?
Well, it seems that people don't respect leadership and would prefer to do what they'd like to do without any information given to the people who need to know. So Charles is here just to make sure, that continues to stay in line and that I'm being respected the way I need to be respected. That's all.
If I may, Miss Weiss,
Of course.
I don't believe the issue is a lack of respect. I do believe you are respected. I do believe your position is revered, and you have earned your place. I believe that there is a lack of focus amongst the others, and a lack of, he pauses for a moment, maturity. But I do not believe it is a lack of respect.
Well, I appreciate your opinion on it, but I would expect more from some of the others.
As you say. We are
There's
5
someone that-
minutes out. He returns to driving.
If you're wanting something, you can just say it. You are the leader. Is there something additional going on?
Is there something you would like to speak to me about?
Yeah. I don't know why I got in trouble. So there's that. Don't know why I got nothing against this. I get that I found Spud or came across him, so this overall makes sense why I'm here. I don't get why I can't also keep an eye on the cult, for that's what I've been doing.
Well, logistically, it just makes sense. We have to do both of these things. So some people are going to go to some things and some people are going to go to the other things. You are involved in both. So on that respect, that really, you had to go to one of them and you were kind of involved in both of them. As far as why you came with me, I don't trust you and Lucas together.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Okay. Let me use an example.
Okay.
Do you remember when Jester broke into the prison?
Yes.
Do you remember how angry you were that she didn't even text you to tell you that that was happening?
Right.
Do you remember that you said, if I would have known, I could have done something, but if you got hurt because of it and there was nothing I could do about it, I would be very upset?
Right.
Okay, so let's take that scenario and then let's move to you and Lucas. Do you remember that you guys went and dealt with a vampire recently?
Yeah, but no one got hurt.
So your anger at Jester was because somebody got hurt.
No. Okay, I see what you're saying. I get it. The reason why I didn't think there was going to be an issue going out and doing that is because aren't we moving forward? Aren't we wanting to start taking out these guys?
When we're prepared, nobody ever said, hey, go find a leech and bring it back alive. That was never discussed with any of us. It was something you and Lucas decided, and instead of bringing it to the pack as a whole, you decided to go off and do your own thing because of a challenge that doesn't even make sense. What is the challenge for, Aiden?
It was I don't 100% know, to be completely honest.
Exactly. So you went out and you were reckless with Lucas because Lucas, what it seems like, goaded you into this challenge thing and made it and put the parameters on it so he could go do what he wanted to do and get away with it by guising it under a challenge. So he manipulated you, which also makes me angry. But it makes me feel like you either don't trust my own judgment to even let me know what's happening with said challenge or with the leeches, or you're easily manipulated by others, which means I can't trust you.
Neither one of those make me look too good.
So I'm angry. And I'm also angry because you put yourself in danger. And if I lose you, Aiden, I get it, I have the rest of the pack. But if I lose you,
Yeah, again, I'm sorry. It's. I also saw it as a way of learning how to fight these things. How many of these leeches have we fought? 3, maybe? Those ones that we saw at the plant. I've heard the things that Duncan has told me on how to take these guys out, but my overall skill in doing it, I can hear about it and hear all these stories, but until it's actually practiced, I'm not going to be able to do these things. So yes, I should have called you. I should have let you know while we were going out and doing that, and then give you a heads up. But I was also focused on trying to make sure that the overall goal here, to remove these guys from this area, to stop what they're doing, I need to know how to fight them. And apparently there's these, you put the piece of wood in their chest and they explode. That's something we learned. That's something we gained. And yes, I should have told you, I put myself in danger, and I don't want to have you scared for me. I do want you to trust me. I do want you to be able to know that. And yeah, I was manipulated to do this, but I also saw a way to gain something from it. But I do see what you're saying, and
could
I'm
have
sorry.
told me. I
know.
trust you, and I would have let you if that was something that you needed.
I should have got a hold of you. I should have told you about it. It won't happen again. I'll make sure that you know those kind of movement. I'm not going to tell you every little thing that I'm doing, but if it involves a highly dangerous situation that could potentially put myself in risk for my life, be sure to run it by you.
Okay. I don't know about that Lucas guy. I've got to figure him out. I want him to be a part, but also, I don't know, it sometimes feels like he's actively pushing against things, which makes me a little bit crazy. But I'm trying my best. And I want everybody to do this together.
I hear you.
But I can't do any of this without you.
You need to give yourself more credit. You're doing a lot of it already without me. You're, you're leading the pack. I'm here. I'm not leading. You are. And you're doing a great job. You put me in a box, which I don't necessarily like, but I get why you did it. And you're doing great.
Thank you. But I don't mean I can't do this without you.
Do you want to come with me on every hunt? Would that make it easier? Because then you could watch me the entire time, and I'm getting pretty good at it. I literally threw this thing at this leech, and it got stuck in him, and it was really cool. You remember the movie Troy that we watched? That's basically Achilles, and it was awesome.
Make it so difficult to be angry at you.
That's one of my many skills. I don't have a lot. I have like 4, but that is one of them.
Fine. But just tell me when things are happening. That's all I want.
I get it. Yeah. And as far as Lucas goes, he's stubborn, and I was the little conversation I wanted to have with him out at Lettuce Lake. I may have tried setting up a few different traps and ambushes for him to see his overall fighting style. But he made a circle in some gravel and wouldn't leave that circle. And I tried to get him to come into the woods, but he wouldn't do it. So he's not stupid. I will give him that. But I I think he has his reasons for doing what he's doing, but he doesn't know how to communicate that. And I understand that. I have a hard time trying to say what I want to have happen. But I think what he's wanting is the betterment for the pack. He just has a weird way of going about showing it. But I can talk to him about the challenge itself. I think I can call it off. I would lose a challenge, so I don't know what that means, but
Well, I still have to have a conversation with him so we can talk about that together if that's what you want. But I do agree with you that he's smart. He's too smart for his own good, it seems like sometimes. And I don't think he knows how to work with others anymore. I think he was scorned, if I'm being completely honest. And I think it scares him to work with others, which is why I want to help him. But he's just being such a pain in the ass.
yeah. To be fair, him and I did work well together on the little thing that we did. Also, he can jump really high, like stupid high. But he when we went after the leech, he went and grabbed onto it. It was basically holding it, um, while I went and grabbed a piece of wood. And him and we did work well together. But I do understand why you're is it appre
Apprehensive, yes.
that big syllabled word. Why you're that way to us working together, but we do work well together when we have something to go for, what Charles said, something to focus on. Thanks, Charles. Appreciate that. But yeah, I think he can work well with others. It's just going to be a hard conversation on what rules you want done with that.
Right. And I can put you guys together if you think you guys worked well together, but you have to be my voice of reason when I'm not there.
You just tell me the reasons you want, and I will voice them.
Okay, we can make that happen. And I know he's going to continue to push back. That's what they do. But I mean, I just want him to feel like he belongs here. That's all.
I think he's getting there. Not everyone's as housewarming as we are. You're just pop down there, we're like, yep, this is home.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You feel the car jerk ever so slightly as it pulls into a strip mall that is at least a block away from where you know the plasma bank to be. As the headlights sweep across the parking lot, you can see the sun's dipping on the horizon and darkness is starting to inch its way over the area. The headlights sweep across a dirt bike, a motorized dirt bike that seems to be parked in one of the parking spots off to the side, and you can see Spud in his crocheted wizard's hat leaned up against the dirt bike, looking over in your direction as the car pulls in. and pushing his way up off of the dirt bike to a full stand. In his hand, he's got a large, big gulp cup that he seems to be sipping a very thick red slushy from as you make your way in. And as the car comes to a stop, Charles immediately gets out of the vehicle, surveys for a moment before stepping around back to open Aspen's door.
Aspen will step out. Thank you, Charles.
He just gives a curt nod before folding his hands in front of him, like a bodyguard or a professional driver in a very practiced motion. Spud looks at the car, looks at Charles, then looks at you and lets out a long, high-pitched whistle. Someone's moving up in the world.
Well, I have friends, so.
You had me getting ready to run for the hills. I thought you were one of the, Never mind. Good to see you. I assume, based off of all of this, you've got the money.
I do, yes. She'll look back into the car to see if Aiden's getting out.
Aiden will kind of look at Charles and look at his door back to Charles and finally then open his door and get out. It's fine, Charles. I got it. Appreciate you. I can open my own door.
Charles doesn't move, doesn't even acknowledge the statement. Well, good. Then, I think after a little quick count, we should be ready to talk business. And he holds out a hand expectantly.
I will hand over like a Ziploc, or not a Ziploc, but like a cloth zip bag.
He unzips the bag and starts thumbing through the bills, and after counting them all out, gives a satisfied smile and zips the bag shut again and shoves it into a pocket. All right. So I got some pretty juicy intel from some that are like me. Yes, there are others like me in the city. Not as handsome or dashing or talented or brilliant, but, like me. And word on the street is that plasma bank down the way recently got an exchange of ownership. Seems some rich muckety mucks in the Tampa property management firm thought it would be worth picking up the place. Now, one might normally not bat an eye at that, but I know that Tampa property management also owns 100 North Tampa. And if there's anything we've put together, if they own the building, they're in on the deal. I believe it's some of the upstanding ones. Suit and tie, sword and scepter, crowns, the whole deal. Seems that they are in need of a steady stream of food. Apparently, a previous project of theirs that they relied upon went up in a blaze of glory a few months ago, and food has been slim, to say the very least. If they're showing interest in this place, that means only one thing. They're trying to stock up. They're trying to get a steady stream because they're preparing for something, and it's going to be something big. And if I had to guess, that something big comes with claws and teeth and hair. Well, fur, I guess. They know you're here, and they're getting ready for a fight. But if I've learned anything, if you want to get the upper hand on the licks, the best thing you can do is take away their food supply. Now, there are a lot of plasma banks, a lot of blood banks, a lot of body farms in the city, but you start somewhere, and you start whittling down the options. You starve them out. because they're fortifying. They're getting ready for you to make a strike. And if they have everything they need, they can wait you out. They got time, you don't. At least if my research is any indication. I think if you can take out this place, that's a good start. But it's not going to be easy pickings. They're going to have security countermeasures. They're probably going to have all the staff on the take. Even if you go in during the day, I can't guarantee it's going to be an easy operation of sorts.
What information can you give me about the plasma bank itself?
Well, I can tell you that it was pretty much your standard run-of-the-mill plasma facility for the longest time. Yeah, there was some leech investment in it. It was a good place to pick up some, a bag of blood when you needed it. Kind of like a black market operation. Something falls off the back of a truck, you could get it there. Well, their ownership must have done something to upset the higher ups because they're no longer around. Now, I don't know if they got chased out or if they got destroyed, but after that, the higher ups picked up the plasma bank. And from the looks of it, they're trying to adjust the way it works to do something. I don't know what. But they're investing in properties like this for some sort of experimentation.
Do we know of any other similar properties that they might have, this Tampa property management, besides, of course, 100 North Tampa?
I know of a few, yeah. I can get you a list. Costs a little bit extra.
Are we looking for more money or?
No, not money in this case. I need something from inside the plasma bank. You get it for me? I'll consider that a good continuation of our business arrangement. You bring me what I need, I'll supply you the next location, and so on. We'll do it as a gig economy. You do the job, you get me what I need, I'll provide you the next place, and so on, and so on, and so on.
Okay. And what exactly is it that you need?
Well, I'll start you off with something easy. I need at least, I'll say, one box worth of what they gather. 12 to 14 bags. Nothing special yet, but it's going to get a little more complicated as time goes on. If I'm going to continue to do the stuff I need to do to continue to be able to help you, I need supplies. And I can't exactly go asking for it around here because, well, they don't like my kind around here.
Okay. Quick question. What exactly makes you different from them?
Well, you saw me during the day, didn't you?
Right?
Let's just say, I never fully ripened.
Okay. Interesting.
It's a condition some of us younger ones have.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm following. Um, what is your end goal?
Well, could be revenge. Could just be a good time. Love sowing some seeds of chaos every now and then. Could be that I need to even the playing field so I can get a fair shake in this world, so I don't always have to look over my shoulder. Could be I'm trying to find a cure. Take your pick. It's kind of a mix of all of those.
Fair enough. And we do guarantee that once this arrangement is over and we both get what we need from this situation, you'll go about your way and I'll go about mine, right?
I'm not going to go picking fights with werewolves. No, you won't have to worry about me.
I'm not worried about you specifically. I just don't know if you have friends that you're working for that you eventually will bring in once we take down your, I don't know, say competition, for you to just take that spot and become another problem for us.
I have friends, but I'm not working for anyone. I have friends who I'd like to see also be able to live a little bit freer, breathe a little bit easier, metaphorically speaking, and give them a chance to make their own way, not under the banners of long forgotten traditions and ancient archaic beliefs. You got to remember, most of us didn't choose this. A lot of us, this was forced upon. And, well, while some might say it might be easier to just give up, the survival instinct doesn't go away.
Can I insight all of that about like him not having working for anybody and like
Sure.
just wanting to give his friends fair shake? Okay.
Go ahead and roll a wits and insight.
Hey, Spud, quick question.
Yeah, buddy.
When the time comes and have to take out some of the ones like you, when a piece of wood is shoved into your chest, why explode? Why does that happen?
Are you hitting on me? I'm not saying I'm not interested. That's just a very interesting proposal.
I haven't hit you at all yet.
Please don't. Why do we explode?
Yeah, say if a piece of wood was shoved into your chest, you would explode. Is that?
No, I wouldn't. I
Dang
mean,
it.
most of us don't. That's just a myth.
Okay. Thanks.
No. It's plausible,
What do you mean?
but it's been seen by
Yeah.
our kind.
Well, that's news to me. I've seen lots of wood shoved lots of places, and usually it just ends up with a long, frozen, paralyzing nap.
So not the norm.
No. No, not even a little. I thought it
Okay.
was just a Buffy the Vampire Slayer thing.
Well, that's
I mean,
some
I
knowledge for you.
guess it could be possible. I mean, some of the myths are true about some of us, but those are the exceptions, not usually the rule. Like the garlic thing. I've been in enough Italian restaurants to tell you that doesn't work. The crosses, not a problem. Holy water, unless it's really holy, no.
Fire?
Fire. We don't talk about fire. Fire, yes, fireworks. Fire. Yep, that works.
If you don't mind me asking, strictly for our own goals, not against you in any way, what is the best way to dispatch one of the others.
Well, I mean, you said it right there. Fire. Fire's a pretty solid bet. The only other thing is that some of us are faster than others. So, we'll get away from the fire as quickly as we can. Good old decapitation does the trick. Remove the head from the body. I mean, nothing's really going to live through that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Destroy the body as best as you can, through and through. Take every part off.
The dismemberment and fire.
Yeah. Pretty much. That's old reliable. There are other ways. Like I said, some of us have conditions. Oh, sunlight. I mean, if that wasn't obvious.
That is another question that I have. So we know of another one that could potentially move through the sun.
Okay.
Are you familiar with one of them called Bloody Mary?
He, almost as if having seen a ghost, goes very, very pale. Like, all of the color drains from his face. How do you know about her?
Stories.
Yeah, she's kind of the big bad of the area. Well, at least this area. There are bigger bads in other areas, but this one, yeah, that's her. She's what they call a sheriff. That's and it is kind of the same as what you'd imagine it to be. Keeper of the peace, deliverer of justice and law, a cop. She's been at it for a good long while, long before I even came here. I've mostly heard stories. Been very lucky not to encounter her myself, but she's kind of like a fuck around and find out type. And I didn't hear anything about her being able to walk through fire or sun, but if there's one that could do it, it'd probably be her.
Good. So very powerful then.
Yeah, and it's not like the sun wouldn't hurt her. It's just that she can handle it for longer, but not forever.
Okay. Okay. Is there any other information you could give me about her?
Well, from what I've heard, if you see her, it's because you fucked up. And you don't want to see her. She's got a big swagger. Usually has a posse. She's got eyes and ears everywhere. She's got a lot of kind humans on the take. Uh, Usually has a gang around her doing her whim. But she's kind of the break glass in case of emergency. She lets goons do most of her dirty work. Saves the big problems for her. Doesn't like to waste her time.
Do you know where she where she hangs out? Where, like, a certain area?
I know she's been around the building from time to time. But she's usually on the move. It's a better thing if she doesn't show up. If she shows up, it means something's about to go down, or is going down, or has gone down. She moves in rougher circles, so if you were to find her, you'd probably find her in some of the scummier areas. But no, I can't say for sure that I know exactly where she's holed up.
In her posse, her gang, is it an actual gang or is it just a group of people.
Yes.
And do they have any sort of influence or infamy here within Tampa?
It depends on what needs being done. Could be cops one week, could be, you know, street gangs the next. I think she's got her fingers in all the pies. That's how she knows what's going on everywhere. You know, you can keep a grip if you've got involvement or alliances to everything. She plays the game better than most because she doesn't have biases. And she will buy or manipulate or threat or blackmail or control whoever she needs to make sure that she has sway over them. So yeah, could be a street gang, but it also could be cops, but also could be politicians, or she's got a little bit of everything. But I think she has a fondness for more of the rougher side of society, but she's not afraid to use whatever she needs to.
Understood. Okay. I appreciate all the information that you're giving us. If I could ask one more question about what you know about the lawyer Bateman.
That's going to cost you. Finish this first job. Then we'll meet, then we'll talk. You get me this first shipment. I might have more to say about that. That's complicated and probably requires a lot more time than we have right now.
Fair enough. I'm very much looking forward to that conversation then, and I'll bring you back as much as I can get my hands on.
Hey, if you bring me back more than I asked for, I'll tell you anything you want to know.
Well, good. I'm very glad to hear that you're easily bribed. She winks at him.
It's a living. Or a non-living, I guess. There are others among them that think like I do. Fewer, further between, usually just scared into servitude. You know, eking out their place in the world. Don't assume every one of us that you come across has some evil agenda and some castle with lightning flashing in the background. Some of us are just surviving because we weren't given any other choice. The reason their society has stood for as long as it has is because the old have kept the young in check. But that's been changing lately. The old are losing control, losing their grip. But that makes them even more ferocious, even more violent, even more rash. And that just means worse things for us. Some people will do whatever it takes to stay on top.
I understand your sentiment. We have a different thought process on our side. A lot of them are killing things we care deeply for.
Well, they're predators. That's what they're made to do. And some of them are better at it than anything you'll find in the living world. They've been doing it long enough. They've made an art of it. They're afraid of you, though they'll never admit it. because what you have is something that they don't. A deadline. You have nothing else. Time's not on your side. You can't just get bored and wait. So you're going to act. They like to take their time. They like to plan. They like to move slowly. You move quick, and you move extremely hard. And they don't know what to do with that. Toe to toe, aside from some exceptions, no lick you're ever going to encounter is going to be able to handle one of your kind. Toe to toe. But that's why they go for your friends. That's why they go for your allies. That's why they go for the places that make you weak, to keep you off balance before they hit you on their terms, on their territory, on their time. If you thought you were distracted before, it's just getting started. They will take away everything you love before they take you out. Trust me, I know.
I think we're unfortunately quite aware of all of that.
I'm sorry you've had to see it firsthand.
I appreciate your candor and your help with everything.
It's a big enough world we should all be able to share. I don't see any reason why not. Well, unless there's anything else, you know what I need? Call me when you get it. And
Aiden.
Yeah.
Did you have any other questions?
Not really. My biggest thing was the confronting. I'm good for right now. I got his number if I really need anything.
they will put walls of innocence between you and them if they have to. So either get really sadistic really quick, or be prepared to be tested. I'm guessing, based off of the news, you've already experienced a little bit of that too.
Just a tad.
Again, just the beginning. Well, good luck, y'all. If I don't hear from you ever again, sucks to suck.
Thank you, Spud.
He climbs on the back of the dirt bike and reaches into one of the saddlebags and opens up the flap and pulls out a bag of Cheetos, and then reaches over to the other saddlebag, opens it up, and you see little raccoon hands reach out and grab the bag and pull the bag in before he starts up the dirt bike and pulls out of the parking lot.
I'm hungry. I'm getting all of a sudden.
The Cheetos or the raccoon?
I'm not sure.
Fair enough.
Miss Weiss, Charles
Yes,
asked
Charles.
from his position by the car. What made you choose this course of action?
Could you be more specific?
The leech. Why do you trust them?
They haven't been anything but genuine. And as horrible as it sounds, he's one to take care of quite a few more.
Might I make a suggestion?
Of course.
Ask Mr. Shaw about the War of Chicago. His former associations would know a great deal about what it is to work with leeches.
Is it because you dislike this course of action, or is it because you think that I need to be educated on this course of action moving forward, just in case?
Yes.
Then I will speak to him.
He nods his head. What now?
I think we talk to the rest of the pack. We have to. We've gotten a lot of information, and I don't want to move forward with this whole situation until we have everyone together.
You want us to take a look at this place before meeting with the pack?
If you're comfortable with that, Aiden, that's more of your thing.
I can take a quick look, see what's going on there. We're only like a block away.
I agree with Aiden. I think it would be best to see the condition of things now in case they have changed when we return.
I'm glad you guys are getting along. Then let's go.
I wouldn't say getting along. He'll make his way into the car.
She'll kind of shove him into the car.
Charles will step over and open your door, but give you a pointed look as he holds the door open for you, just making eye contact with you for a moment before letting you climb in and closing the door behind you, then moving over to the driver's side, getting in, starting the car. He pulls out of the strip mall complex back onto the street, drives back the block that you came from before pulling into the parking lot of the plasma bank. Now, it's just after dusk. The plasma bank is closed, but hasn't been closed for long, possibly a couple of hours at this point, as they usually keep pretty standard business hours. Inside of the facility, you can still see a few lights are on, and that there are a couple of cars still in the driveway. The building is a pretty plain, rectangular brick building made of concrete. It's got a large halogen sign dictating what business is within. A few windows show a lobby beyond, as well as a reception desk, and there is a set of double doors that lead into another set of double doors that go into the facility. But most of the building itself, the walls lining the other sides, are completely brick, no windows whatsoever. Could be because it's laboratory conditions, could be because handling things like plasma and blood can be affected when exposed to certain conditions. Most of the building appears to be temperature controlled to a great deal based off of the large units, AC and heat, that are positioned atop the roof of the building. The scene is yours.
How do we
Aspen?
want to go about this? Yeah.
Those big box things on the roof, what are those?
Charles looks up to the roof. I believe they are heating and cooling units.
This overall building looks pretty sturdy. My concern about trying to make our way in is once we're in, I feel like we're stuck. Does body stuff need heating and cooling in order to stay like good?
Do you mean like Like blood?
Yeah. So is that for people, or is that for the blood itself?
Oh, well, I mean, heating and cooling is in almost every building. When it's hot,
Uh-huh.
we need AC, right? But for blood and such, it needs to be cool temperatures.
Okay. And if that was turned off, they'd want to get that blood out, right?
It is likely they have a separate power source for the blood storage itself. This is likely to keep the laboratory at ideal conditions. This area experiences a great deal of power outages. They likely have backup generators.
Dang. Okay. I think if we got them to come outside, we wouldn't be trapped in a building.
That is fair, but I think we're big and powerful. If we need to get out, we'll find a way out.
Okay.
Especially if we have you and the other human bulldozer here.
Charles, you good at breaking stuff?
When it's called for.
The call might be coming.
We shall see.
Overall, looks pretty standard though. I can go take a look around and see if there's a way in from the back or something if you want me to.
Yeah, just take a quick look.
Yeah.
Stay out of, sight.
I'll be right back. He'll get out and try and sneak his way to the back.
Okay. Are you staying in your hobbit form?
Are there people around?
Give me a wits and awareness.
Like you said, there was cars out, but
There are cars parked in the immediate parking lot, but not necessarily around the entire building.
gotcha. 4.
The main thoroughfare, the street that you came off of when you entered into this particular building complex, there is a pretty steady flow of traffic. It's only about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Darkness is still just creeping across the horizon. So from the street, yes, you'd be pretty heavily visible. However, as you look around the side of the building, if you can get around back, you should be able to shift out of sight.
He's gonna stay in Hamid form and
Okay.
then make his way.
Give me a dexterity and stealth. And I know I didn't address it earlier, Aspen, but your wits and insight proved that he was telling the truth. There was nothing that seemed amiss of it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
3.
Okay. As you slink off using what cover of darkness can be had, there are a few lights on the side of the building that just project outward. They're not meant to be security spotlights or anything of the sort, just your standard building lights to make sure there aren't too many shadowy corners and that they can, see around the building pretty clearly. But you manage to avoid these pools of light as the lights start to flick on as dark continues to creep over. And as you make your way around the back, there appears to be another parking lot behind the back of the building. There are a couple of cars in the parking lot, and there looks to be a delivery bay of sorts where a truck could back up, and a garage door is lifted, as well as a standard security door that one could go through on the outside, an electronic keypad beside the door to unlock it from outside. There isn't any movement on this side. There doesn't seem to be anybody coming or going, but there is a truck that is backed up to the bay doors, the doors which are closed right now, and it looks like it has the American Red Cross symbol on the side of the truck.
Going to pull out his phone real quick and text that information over to Aspen, that the bay door keypad, security door, a couple of small parking lot. Is there any cameras on the outside of this building?
There does appear to be a camera above the security door, as well as 2 that are pointed inward towards the bay doors, towards the big garage door.
Then you'll send at least 3 cameras at the bay door. And then send that, and then start making his way back to the car.
Okay. As you're waiting in the front parking lot, Aspen, roll me a wits and awareness as well. One success. It's pretty quiet. At some point, you do see an individual dressed in medical scrubs walk up to the front door, unlock the latches on the front door, and hold it open for a couple of lab technicians that make their way out, chit-chatting at the doors before they make their way to their vehicles, and chat a little bit more outside of their vehicles before getting in and getting ready to leave. Pretty much people leaving work, standard affair. But after a few minutes, Aiden returns.
Is there any way that, just so we have all of our bases covered, I can text Aiden to get the license plate numbers off of the cars just in case?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Sending off the text, Aiden, you feel the vibration of your phone and see the message asking you to get the license plate numbers from the cars that are getting ready to leave the parking lot.
Okay. Yeah, he will turn his camera on his phone and try to snap a couple pictures. It's gonna be faster than trying to him type those out, so he's just gonna take a couple pictures.
Give me a wits and investigation.
Two.
Okay. You get one clear photograph of one of the vehicles. The other ones are a little too blurry to make out any recognizable numbers or letters, but one of them you do get a clear snapshot of before they pull out onto the main street.
He'll send that picture over to Aspen. I got one. The other one's pulled out too quickly. You make your way to the car.
You climb into the car. Charles starts the engine again and pulls the luxury sedan out of the parking lot and back onto the street. What are you thinking, each of you, as you depart this facility with this new information you've gleaned from Spud and with the reconnaissance you have done on the facility? Aiden, we'll start with you.
Seeing the front of the building and the overall traffic, thinking the back door is probably gonna be the best bet, although it's got additional security. But Artie's pretty good at that kind of stuff, so he should be able to get past it. And garage doors haven't stopped him in the past, so he's not too worried about that door. But once inside, he has no idea what's in there. Is it going to be like the power plant? Is it going to just be a bunch of leeches inside? And the thing Spud said that they will use innocence as a barrier in between. If there are people inside, how is he going to deal with getting the goal and trying to keep everyone alive?
And Aspen.
After talking to Spud, there's a lot of it's good because we got a lot of good information, more information than we had before. A little bit anxiety ridden because everything, especially that has to do with Bloody Mary, seems even more ridiculous and scary, and she seems very powerful, and it's becoming such a reality now. As far as the plasma bank is concerned, I think that's going to come down to seeing what Artie can do as far as the cameras and getting in there. The biggest thing is trying not to hurt anybody in the process, hurt any innocents, or put ourselves in a position to have what happened to Jester happen again to anyone. And also, a little in the back of her head, Charles seems apprehensive about the whole Spud interaction. So she does want to get with Lucas and probably talk to him about that. since Charles is a very few words.
True. With a great deal more information, a potential lead, and an assignment, you head off into the growing evening, returning back to your home, to the cairn, to plan your next course of action. With that, we'll take a 5-minute break, enjoy some artwork from our community, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. See you shortly. are back. In the first half, we saw Aiden and Aspen go with Charles to meet with their contact Spud, who gave them a little bit more information and insight into the leeches. They also scouted out the plasma bank that Spud had mentioned, with a task in mind of not only possibly dismantling the plasma bank, but recovering some much needed supplies for Spud as payment for more information and another location. Now we shift scenes to Jester and Lucas. Lucas, you've arrived outside of Eliza's trailer where you were told to meet Jester a little bit earlier than Jester has arrived. So you're sitting in your truck outside of the trailer looking to just not just the trailer, but the field that you know lies beyond where you had played baseball in an attempt to teach Jester a little bit more about wielding a clave. But it's not the training session that your mind is stuck on. It's a particular moment, a particular encounter during that event where Eliza had decided to try her hand at pitching and allowing you to bat, and a particular strike of the ball against your shoulder where you knew a certain companion had perched to whisper in your ear. What's going through your mind as you recall these events as you're sitting outside waiting for Jester's arrival?
Lucas he's nervous. He's apprehensive. This is something he has kept very close to his chest for a very long time. And having somebody discover it uh, doesn't settle well with him.
Having arrived early, knowing you've probably got anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes before Jester arrives, is there anything you'd like to do?
He's going to kind of stare at the steering wheel for a moment and then just lean his head back and sigh, and then he'll just open the door and he'll grab his clave and put it in its sheath and head over to Eliza's door and knock.
So, walking up to the trailer, you mount the 2 or 3 stairs that lead up to the porch, stopping at the welcome mat that has an array of constellations printed on it. You raise your hand and knock at the door a few times, and then from inside you hear the old woman's voice call, "It's open, Lucas. Come on in."
He'll open the door and wipe his feet and then step in.
As you step in, you can see that the inside of the trailer in the main sitting area has been tidied. Eliza is busy in the kitchen cooking up some sort of concoction, but whatever she's putting together smells awful. Absolutely terrible, like an assault to the senses that doesn't allow you to pick up on any other odors, let alone possibly even think. Just clouding your judgment with this terrible, very strong, almost repelling odor. Noticing your grimace, Eliza smiles and waves a hand in, gesturing you further forward before putting a lid on top of the pot that boils upon the stove. And as she puts the pot lid on, it seems to mask the odor enough, or at least bring it down, that it's still very much tangible, but not so much an affront to every bit of your senses.
Eliza, I can taste that in the air. I don't want to be rude, but what is in there?
Some might say nightmares, but really it's just a combination of herbs that is doing exactly what it's meant to do. Assault the senses so that the odors we need can be picked up. I'm surprised, as a individual trained in the arts of kin-seeking, you haven't had this experience before.
Yeah, it's been a while, and you know how that goes with me.
Well, that's quite all right. I will try to lessen the assault on you. And she turns down the burners, making the odor drop even more, getting it down to a low simmer rather than a full-on boil. Can I get you something to drink? Maybe some iced tea while we wait for Jester?
I would absolutely love some iced tea. That sounds wonderful.
She moves over to the fridge and opens it and pulls out a pitcher and reaches over to a cabinet and pulls down two glasses, mismatching in their shape, look like they were picked up at a secondhand store, not for a set, but probably individually picked up. She walks over to the counter and sets the glasses down and pours out some iced tea in both, then grabs another container out of the fridge and drops a slice of lemon in both of them before holding one out to you.
He'll take it and take a drink of it and kind of lean against the counter a little bit. Shoulder took a little while to heal up.
Really? I didn't think I had that kind of strength left in these old bones.
Like I said, I got to get you in a beer league or something. You got a hell of an arm.
I'll have to apologize for that, Lucas. I got a little caught up in the excitement of it all. You know how it is.
Did ya?
What do you mean?
I mean, you're a Thurs, right? It's you see things.
Only things that I'm looking for?
Did you find something?
Is there something for me to find?
Well, there's always something to find. I'm a Shadow Lord. Don't ever ask me that question.
Precisely. Your business is your own, Lucas. I would not go prying where I am not welcome. But if you choose to welcome me, I will see.
I was a child. It's probably like one of the first memories I've ever had. The circumstances are not important. We can talk about that some other time, but I just remember those eyes. And ever since those eyes, I've just always, let's just say I've never been alone since then.
When you look into the eyes of evil, of the worm, a part of it will always stay with you. Because that's what it does. It infects, it deteriorates, it rots away everything it comes into contact with. One is never the same when they have that kind of encounter. But in what we are, in our very existence, it is something we must still continue to face regardless. We can't shy away from it. We can't avoid it or ignore it because it's our very purpose of being. We are meant to stare into those eyes, and even if it does mean taking a piece of it with us, we do it anyway, and we will continue to do it every time we are called upon to do so. What we must do is stay resolute. Continue to carry that piece, but continue to do the work we are required to do.
Do you think all of them are evil?
The worm, in its very existence, in its nature, is not evil. It is balance. For life to live, death must exist. It's like the cycle of the plant, something that I know you know quite a bit about. It grows, it blossoms, it bears fruit, and eventually it withers and dies so that something else can take its place. Something else can grow in its stead. It is the circle of life. If there was no worm, life would be endless, meaningless. I've heard said many times that life is only a wondrous thing because it ends. Having limited time is what makes the moments leading up until that end so valuable, so worthwhile. I don't believe it's evil. I don't believe all of its servants are evil. All I believe is that the balance has shifted. The triad is on an axis. It is not working in the harmony that it once did. The worm is prevalent, as is the weaver, while the wild deteriorates. It has less of the earth to grow upon. It has less of the world to spread out on. I do believe that the worm must be brought to balance. I do believe that many of the worm's servants, possibly even the worm itself, is corrupted. But I do believe it has its purpose.
Do you think that there's a way on a small level, I'm not talking about giant philosophical things here, on a small level to purge that corruption and bring it back to the way it's supposed to be?
I would like to believe so, but I do not know how. I would like to believe it's necessary. We must bring it to balance. We must allow the weaver, the wild, and the worm to coexist once more. But I believe a great deal of damage has been done. Too much, one might say. The suffering of Gaia is vast. The presence of the worm is strong. And I'm not sure we have the time, the opportunity, the ability to give it that grace. I believe too much has been done, too much has happened.
We've done so much wrong in this war. I mean, you've got the nation is shattered, you've got everything else that has gone wrong. Maybe we looked at the wrong things. And maybe this is a dangerous question, but maybe to an extent, we need to use a little bit of that.
There are others who have thought the same. There are others who still do think the same. My tribe, in particular, believes that there must be another way. That is why we left. That is why we were sent away. That is why we are no longer recognized as worthwhile contributors to the nation. But also, there are those who were outwardly and completely opposed to it, to an almost fervor, only to be consumed by it. You know of those that I speak, even though some would say they are legend and myth. I believe you know just as well as I that they are very much real.
Yeah. Yeah, they're real. If the rest of them find out about this, they're not gonna care much, even less than they do about me now. But it's part of the lesson anyway. I just it makes me nervous that this thing that's attached to me is gonna ruin, which I guess is in its nature, something that's actually going good for me once. And that scares the hell out of me.
Do you believe it's going well?
I think it is, but the way I look at things sometimes is really different than the way other people do.
Of course it is. You're Ragabash. Don't assume The thoughts that you have are relegated to just you. Others of your moon think them all the time. Even Artie, the pushover that he seems to be from time to time, has moments, has thoughts, has urges and feelings. He just chooses not to express them, not to give them air to breathe. You have to understand, while this thing seems like its own entity, it is still very much a part of you. It is a representation of the darkness that you carry within. The shame, the regret, and honestly, probably some of the indignance. A part of you believes you were right, still, for what happened. And maybe you were, maybe you weren't. But does that really matter? Is holding on to a past rife with mistakes, just being acknowledged that there was a slight possibility that you did the right thing, is it worth carrying resentment? Is it worth carrying frustration, shame? It's
Yeah.
feeding off of you, Lucas, because you are giving it plenty to feed off of. Now, that doesn't mean it will disappear entirely. That doesn't mean that it will just cease to be because you get a better, more positive outlook on the situation. It is still its own entity in that right, but it is drawn to you because you are a source for it. It can appeal to a part of you, no matter how minute that part may be. And it will spread, it will grow. It'll take that small cavity you have in your heart and it will rot from the inside out.
It wants me to take it somewhere.
Oh,
I don't know why. I mean, it chooses to be as apprehensive about answering questions as I am, which, based on what you said, makes perfect sense now.
where does it
Uh,
wish you to take it?
some dark place. Someplace it needs to go. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's someplace that says it needs to go.
Did it give you a name?
Not yet.
Well, there are a lot of dark places in this city, in this region. It's funny, they call it the Sunshine State, yet the light can't even begin to pierce the darkness that dwells within this area. If it ever does reveal a location to you, get more specific, although that is not their way. Let me know what it wants, where it wants to go. Perhaps I can at least, if nothing else, give you some insight into the situation. For I've known this area a good majority of my life at this point. I've seen the cavities grow and rot. I thank you for being so upfront about this, Lucas. And in addressing your point about it ruining a good thing that you're finding in your life, it's up to you if it does or doesn't. For whatever control it seeks to have over you, you're here and they're there. You're what decides if it crosses over to this place or not. You're what decides if they find out or not. But your secret's safe with me.
They still have a lot to learn about what's coming, and
Most certainly. I've been
I
with them since the day they arrived. I was one of the first they sought out. I saw how green they are.
but
But they
it's not even that. I mean, it is that. I am too. I can't really say that I'm better than that, but who they're choosing to go to war with, they're they're gonna get inside. Just like you said, they're gonna find those cracks and those holes, and they're gonna rot them from the inside out. And they need to be ready for it. They need to see it coming. And I can't think of a better person to show them that than me. So I need to be around. So maybe this thing has to wait until I'm done doing what I need to do. Maybe not. We'll see.
it won't like that.
No, I won't like that. I just want it to leave me alone, or at least make some sense of what it's saying. We'll see.
Yes, we will. And you are right. There's no one better to show them what it is to have been infected. That doesn't mean that infection needs to be the downfall of you, the downfall of what you're building. Find someone amongst them that you trust. Open your heart. Show the cavity within it. Let someone in so they can see what you're dealing with, and perhaps they can be a aid. Perhaps they can be the salve, the balm that you've been looking for.
No, I don't think it was because you guys had different views on things that you got kicked out of the nation. You guys are too goddamn smart for your own good. That's ugh. This is an uncomfortable conversation. Thank you.
If we're going to be comfortable in the long run, we're going to have to deal with a great deal of uncomfort before then.
Soldiers don't get to be comfortable.
They also don't always have to be soldiers.
It's fair.
With that, you hear the rumbling roar of a motorcycle making its way down through the RV park, through the trailer park, I should say, before arriving outside close to Eliza's trailer and the engine dying down. Jester, what are you feeling and thinking as you've made your ride over from Lettuce Lake?
I'm hoping that Lucas doesn't try to goad me into doing anything that will cause us to have contact with the Get. I don't feel like we are prepared yet. I also purposely left my clave back at Lettuce Lake.
Okay.
In my pocket though is the aura shades that we found.
So as you arrive, cutting the engine to Ryder's motorcycle, which you've been practicing with and taking out for occasional rides, using as your primary form of transportation, just to get some more miles under you, some more rides under you. You look over and you see Lucas's truck parked outside, but Lucas isn't within.
Might be inside. I'll climb off and head towards the door.
Lucas, from inside, you can hear the squeaking of the steps that lead up to the porch as Jester approaches the door. Jester, you just let yourself in. You've been here enough times that you know that it's kind of an open door policy for you, no matter how much Eliza might grumble about it. She's only doing so half-heartedly. A little bit of the curmudgeon still deep within her, even though it's fading the more time passes. But as you make your way in, you can see that a third glass has appeared on the counter already, and a iced tea is being poured into it as you open the door and find Lucas and Eliza standing by the kitchen counter talking. Jesta, come in.
Hello. I'll shut the door.
I'm sure you're thirsty after a hard ride like that. She
A little bit.
holds out the glass to you.
Take it and down a few gulps.
So, what is the assignment today?
Scouting, I believe. Keeping an eye on the Get and their cairn. How big is a cairn, Eliza?
Depends. They can be a small utility closet. They can be as large as an entire forest. It depends on how well it's tended, how much the spirits have aligned with it. They grow just like anything else.
We had one in Chicago that was an entire building.
Okay. Well, I know last time Aiden and Joseph went together, they ended up accidentally stumbling into it. So I'm hoping we don't do that.
That would be for the better. It's as good as trespassing. Many don't take kindly to that.
Right, and if Aspen wants to make temporary allies at least, trespassing probably isn't the best idea.
So how am I to assist you in this matter? I'm not exactly the stealthy, sneaky, scouty type.
No, but we were hoping to have you there to be able to see into the Umbra. I mean, I have these glasses. I'll take them out, but I don't think they do what you could do.
I would certainly be willing to assist. I just hope to not be a liability if things go south. And those glasses you refer to can give you the sight, maybe not the understanding, but the sight to the other side just as well as I can. Although I suppose 4 sets of eyes are better than 2. Very well. Lucas, do you have enough room in that beast of a vehicle of yours?
AC's a little shaky, but yeah, we should be able to get there just fine, all 3 of us up front.
I'm from Georgia, darling. I'm used to not having AC.
Yeah, it's ridiculous down here. All right.
Very well. She grabs a thermos out of the cupboard, pours more of the iced tea into it before capping it. She walks over to a medicine cabinet and pulls open a few of the drawer, grabbing some ingredients and herbs that she shoves into a crocheted shoulder bag that she pulls on over. I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Let's go then.
Jester, you forgetting something?
Nope.
You sure about that?
Yep.
Your lead.
Step out of the trailer. Eliza closes the door behind. There's the jingle of keys as she locks the door. You make your way down, climbing into the truck. Eliza positioning herself comfortably between the two of you. And they start the truck and pull out of the trailer park. Start driving along the streets, following the directions you were given by Aiden, heading towards the cairn of the Cult of Fenris. The scene is yours for any conversation you wish to have on the trip.
Jester, if we do get made, what's the plan?
I guess we're gonna have to talk to him.
And if they don't want to talk,
We could either retreat, I suppose, or fight, but I would prefer not fighting.
defensive measures only.
Yes.
And this is your op, so I don't want to step on any toes again.
I didn't bring it because bringing it may, if we do get made, may symbolize that we are being aggressive. Like you said, it's made to kill us. Two of us bringing them along may seem that we are ready to fight them.
Violence invites violence, so it's not a bad plan.
Objects made as much of a statement as words do.
Words, that's a you thing. That's not a me thing.
Fair. I'd rather us not be seen.
I think that's the primary idea. Yeah. But say we do have to engage in a conversation. What's the conversation?
Start with curiosity, I think. More of we're trying to feel them out.
Gain as much, give as little.
Yes.
It's a good plan. Okay. Gonna do good cop, bad cop?
Sure.
Definitely the bad cop.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you can annoy them as much as that you annoy Aspen, so
Oh, I'll give him 50% versus the 10% I've been giving you guys.
excellent.
Maybe 20% of the 10% I've been giving you. I'll figure it out.
Sounds good.
Okay.
You fall quiet, just allowing the time to pass, though the moments tick by very, very slowly. Especially for you, Lucas, who feels like you're walking into a very bad situation and now even less prepared than you thought you were going to be when this whole crazy idea was come up with in the first place. You thought you had two clave wielding individuals walking in, but really you just have one. And much to Eliza's statement, yeah, she can throw a good fastball, but who knows how much of the actual fight she has in her. She mentioned being a liability, and you can't help but have that thought in your head now. Though maybe unnecessarily, because she is a theurge. She is an older guru, which is rare. Something that you, even with your grand sept that you grew up in, saw very, very little of. Most didn't make it past their 40s, let alone to their 60s, which she appears to be. About 15, 20 minutes go by, and you're at an intersection where you know one more left, and the RV park will be on your right. Lucas, you're paused at the intersection, waiting for the light to change. What would you like to do?
When the light changes, I'm not going to make the turn. I'm going to drive a little bit past, probably maybe a half mile down the road. And then I'll pull off to the side.
Okay.
Question. When we've gotten close, I know the turnoff is there. Were there any other businesses near the park? Gas stations, bars?
You're getting more towards the outskirts of the city where businesses are a little further and fewer between. You're seeing a lot more industrial area, a lot more factories and plants and other different, business oriented locations. Not a lot of homes, and if there are homes, they have a surprising amount of property considering how close to the coast they are. You're seeing a lot more farms, a lot more spacious land in where you're located. They don't seem to be too close to the city as your cairn is, which is surrounded by neighborhoods, homes, businesses. This one seems a little bit more out there. So there are a few businesses, but not directly next to or close to the RV park. The RV park took a good parcel of land where they could fit in as many RVs as they could and spread them out.
All right.
Going through the woods.
Yeah.
Do you want to go like this? Or do you think we should get down on all fours?
I plan on getting down on all fours.
Sounds like a plan.
Climbing out of the truck, leaving it parked off at the side of the road, you both make the transition as you go down into a ditch that enters into some woodlands. Dropping down into all fours, your senses becoming sharper, your awareness casting a wider net, your steps becoming lighter. As Eliza follows behind, she also drops down into all fours, but it is a slower transition. Almost like somebody having to stretch out after being cramped for so long. And when she does drop to all fours, she ends up being a very gray with shocks of silver and white throughout the fur wolf. And at first, you see her kind of drop back on her hind legs, stretching out her forelegs, stretching out her back and her neck. And you can hear little pops and crackles go down her spine as if she'd been cramped up for far too long. But eventually she grows light in her pacing and her footwork as she falls into stride, keeping a little bit behind the two of you who move ahead. Going into the woods, go ahead and roll me a dexterity and stealth. As you were trying to approach as quietly and carefully as possible, also trying to obscure yourself from any other cars that might be on the roadway.
Three successes.
Okay.
I'm going to spend a willpower. Four successes.
You take to the trees like
Oh,
if
wait.
you're... Oh, yeah?
That's a crit. Sorry.
Okay.
So that was 6 successes.
Well, Jester, it feels like you're sliding into a warm bath. That's how comfortably you slide into the woods. Lucas, it's a little more jarring. You're used to more urban environments. There's not exactly a lot of natural wilderness near Chicago. So this is still a little unusual for you, even though all of the advantages of the space, all of the cover provided by the trees, this does seem advantageous, but it does feel very foreign and unfamiliar to you. But you do start slinking your way, figuring out the good places to move, to step. Eliza, following your path, also seems to be a little rough at first, as if she hasn't walked these woods in a good while, but eventually she is moving very deftly through the trees, to the point that at one point both of you lose sight of her altogether. As you continue to stalk, trying to figure out the direction that you're heading in, roll me a wits and survival check. as you're trying to orient yourself as to the direction you want to find your way towards the RV park.
Three successes.
Okay. Lucas, you have a pretty strong sense of direction, trying to take the signs from the trees around you, trying to feel out nature, where the wind is blowing from, where the position of the sun in the sky is. You do orient yourself pretty well to know that you went a certain distance south and that the RV park you're going to is probably to the northeast, which is the direction you start cutting in. Jester, you also orient yourself. It's a little bit later, so Lucas ends up moving in advance of you in the direction of the RV park, but you, following his lead, are able to catch up and stick fairly close as you start moving closer and closer to the RV park. With the pace that you're heading at, keeping it slow and steady seems to be the best course of action, as to not trigger anyone, to use the stealth that you have gained, the advantage you have of this unusual direction in which you're approaching to your advantage. You slink closer and closer through the woods until up ahead you can see the trees are becoming more and more sparse, a little more spread out, as if they're approaching a clearing.
As we're going, I would like to sniff out, like slowly, as we're going, to see if I can pick up any other wolf scents.
Give me a wits and awareness.
All right.
Actually, a wits and investigation. You're looking for something very specific. You're not trying to get a
Okay.
general sense of your surroundings.
2 successes.
Sniffing the air, there's definitely a scent of wolf, but you're not really sure if it's coming from Lucas or potentially Eliza. It's really hard to discern any differences in the odor. Nothing seems to stand out too clearly as you continue moving forward. There is a general scent of wolf, but it's hard to nail down what it's emanating from specifically. You eventually approach the clearing, and off through the clearing itself, you can see the makings of several of these RVs parked in various lots throughout this area. You can see trees cut down to the base, clearly a part of the clearing effort they used to try and make this space habitable and useful towards it. But a part of you can't help but feel a little revolted at the sight of this, because this is exactly what caused the problem. This is exactly what is killing Gaia, is the ever expansion, the continued development of an area where there's plenty of homes that are abandoned. There's plenty of spaces that are already clear and open. Why cut down a wilderness to create a space that could have easily just been located elsewhere? But as we all know, that's not how bureaucracy and politics work. Those open lands are likely owned by somebody who doesn't want a trailer park on their land, doesn't want RVs parked in their front yard or on their farm. You can both take a point of rage as you observe this deforestation in front of you. Eventually, you reach the edge of the clearing, a low growl almost naturally emanating at the back of your throats. But you have paused right before the clearing. What would you like to do next?
Do I see any movement? Any people walking around?
Give me a wits and awareness.
I am looking for Kyle.
Okay. Yeah, that would be a wits and investigation for sure.
Okay. You know what? Before I do that, I think I want
Sure.
to activate ancestors. So
Okay. Remind me what that does and what the mechanics for it are.
sure. Pull it up real quick. So since I have 3, I get to roll 3 dice. since it's a what would Ryder do sort of thing, my difficulty is 2 because I'm trying to contact a specific person.
Okay.
Uh, and I got 2 successes, so that's going to give me an extra dice to roll.
Okay. So calling upon your memories of Ryder, the imprint he has left upon you and your spirit, trying to use his sharpened senses, his knowledge, his awareness, his guile to aid you.
Three successes.
3 successes. And how many for you, Lucas?
4.
4 successes. With your wits and awareness, the way you're approaching the campground, most of where you're going to be entering from is currently open, vacant lots. Since it's summer up north, a lot of the snowbirds who would call this home during the winter season have moved on. So there are vacancies within this particular RV park. You can see all the hookups and the parking spots and the dead grass or exposed sand where RVs had once parked several months ago. But off in the distance, where it's a little more populated and crowded, you can see individuals moving about, a few people going about their daily lives, maybe some of them setting up to have a barbecue. You can smell the grills and hear the hissing and popping of the charcoal and the meat being laid out on the grills. There are people present, but they are a bit of a distance away. Jester, calling upon the spirits, looking specifically for Kyle, looking for that one individual. You don't catch sight of or catch wind of Kyle in the immediate vicinity. But you know, based off of the stories that Joseph and Aiden had told, the location of the cairn is on the opposite side, near the back, the abandoned lots. So probably straight across this clearing on the other side is where you would find them.
Since it's a clearing, there's still like woods around it, so I could circle around.
You could, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna start slowly circling around, crawling on my belly like Aiden taught me.
Okay, give me another dexterity and stealth.
I'll follow her.
I got
4.
another crit on this.
Okay.
8 successes.
Getting down as low as you can, almost scooting around on your belly. You're not completely laid down on the ground. That would take far too long and make far too much noise. But you get down and crouch as low as you can using whatever foliage and plants and low-lying cover you can to skirt around the outside of the clearing, making the long trek around the edge, getting closer and closer to the area. As you draw closer, eventually you do see a trailer off in the corner. Another one of these RVs parked off in the corner with no other RVs remotely close to it. Most of the others are parked back near the front for easy access to the road. But this one is parked very purposefully towards the back corner. Roll me a wits and awareness, both of you. Two successes from Jester. 5 successes from Lucas. Jester, with your eyes primarily focused on the trailer, you don't see any apparent movement, any obvious presence of anyone nearby. There's no lights on even in the trailer right now. It is cast in darkness, though it is still early enough in the afternoon that the normal daytime light probably is enough illumination even from within. Lucas, However, in the woods up ahead, you do see another wolf prowling, and it is not Eliza. In fact, it's got very, very thick brown fur that stretches out across its lupine form. It is prowling through the woods also very slowly and very carefully, but does not seem to have noticed your approach at this point.
I'll scoot up behind Jester and just kind of bumper with my muzzle, and then kind of motion in the direction that I see the other wolf.
If he points it out, can I see him?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
with a
stop
little
moving.
bit of direction, you can see the wolf prowling through the woods, pausing every now and then, stalking, but not in the direction that you are coming from.
Okay, I will stop moving for now.
Can I see anybody moving around in that vicinity? Not where the wolf is, but where the other trailer is, that might have a cell phone, or anybody talking on a phone, or a walkie-talkie for that matter. Any kind of electronic communication device they may actually be using at the moment.
Give me a wits and investigation.
Three.
Okay. With 3 successes as you peer upon the trailer, studying it a little more, watching, looking for any individuals that are skulking nearby, you do see an individual walking further down this dirt-laden road, this packed dirt, walking along the road as if they're just taking a stroll around the park, but they are carrying a phone that they seem to be talking on as they are walking.
I'm going to activate Spider Song and
Okay.
attempt to listen in on that conversation. And Spider Song is by listening to the vibrations of the Weaver's web, the werewolf can eavesdrop on any kind of long distance verbal communication, whether sent airborne signal or through wired connection. I must be aware of the conversation, although I don't need to know the identities of the people. And it is a willpower point and a resolve plus wisdom roll.
Okay, so projecting your will, sending your senses outward, trying to attune your hearing specifically in the direction that this individual is walking and talking. Go ahead and make the roll.
Two successes.
2 successes. You hone in on the conversation as best as you possibly can, your ears twitching and prickling at the sounds, kind of sussing through and sorting through the various tonal shifts, trying to make out the conversation. Eventually, you hear, "Yeah, Mom, things are good. I like Florida. It's actually a lot cooler down here than it sounds like it is up there." And continued small talk coming from the individual as they continue walking. You can see that they are a young woman, probably about 5'9", wearing short, frayed shorts and a crop top. They're fit, not overtly muscular. They don't seem to be, built like a brick shit house, but rather they're in shape and they seem to put an effort to do so. They've got a messy bun of bleach blonde hair atop their head that is tied back. They're not wearing any makeup and don't seem to be adorned in any way. They're just wearing tennis shoes with ankle socks that just pad along in the dirt with a routine nature as if they've done this many, many, many times.
I'll keep my ears tuned into that spider string on that, and just wait for Jester's lead.
I'm watching the wolf to see where it is going.
It is moving purposefully almost away in the opposite direction towards the woods leading away from you.
Check to see the lights are behind us.
Give me a wits and awareness.
One success.
As you attempt to spot Eliza in the woods, trying to ascertain her location, you don't catch sight of her. A lot of the
Okay.
trees provide a great deal of cover in this area, so it's difficult to tell further into the woods behind you.
I'll look to Lucas, motion my head like, should we follow him?
Now remember, you can communicate in your lupine forms. Nothing too complicated, but you do understand what each other are trying to relay.
I'll motion my head towards him.
Okay. We'll keep him in sight, but at a decent distance, so like it'll be more difficult for him to notice us tailing.
Give me another dexterity and stealth, both of you, as you try to tail behind this lone wolf that seems to be stalking into the forest.
Yeah, I'm gonna spend a willpower.
Five successes.
Also 5 successes.
Silent as possibly can be in this environment, you move with very careful, well placed footsteps, padding along, keeping an even distance behind you and the wolf in front of you as it also moves diligently and carefully through the woods. It stalks forwards, pausing and hunching down, getting very, very low before going into a full on run, charging forward and tackling what appears to be some kind of prey as you hear a high pitched squeal ring out through the woods that is very quickly cut off short with a crunch.
Mm. Hunting. I'm gonna nod my head back towards the park. I don't really feel like getting in a wolf's territory while it's hunting. I've seen Aiden get prickly.
I'll follow where she leads. I'm continuing to listen. Really, I'm just waiting to see if this person on the phone either A hangs up or B says, "Oh crap, I gotta go," as in we were discovered or something has alerted this person to something.
Yeah, the conversation continues, like talking about work being good, that they're, that they found a temporary part time job to hold them over while they look for something a little more permanent, and, how the weather's been nice, it's been sticky as opposed to home, but having heard about this heat wave that's been passing through the Midwest, it is very mind numbing conversation. And based off of the path it's taking, it seems that they're getting closer towards the end of the dirt road where it hooks around and is going to start making its way back towards the street. So you're turning back, prowling back towards the camp itself. As you turn, roll me a wits and awareness. Three successes from Jester. 6 successes from Lucas. Well, thankfully you both pass because it's not hard to see. Where surrounding the trailer before was no one, now 5 individuals are standing outside the trail, or outside the RV, in a half circle shape, pointed directly in the woods and directly in your direction. They're in their human forms currently, but they are a little taller and a little stronger, and among them stands Kyle.
Turn and look at Jester. Just kind of give a head tilt.
Shit.
The silence is heavy and it is thick. Both of you trying to parse out who's going to make the first sound, the first move. The stillness reigns. But after a few moments, from behind you, in the direction that the wolf was hunting, you hear, "Long way from home, aren't you?"
Sigh. Look that way.
You turn around and you see another young woman who seems to have blood matted around her mouth and spilling down onto a tank top and long tights, almost like yoga pants that are skin tight that go down to the ankles. Her feet are bare. She has a bracelet around her wrist, and she has an auburn, short cropped haircut that is almost like a bowl cut around her head or a pixie cut on top of her head. She is still licking blood off of her fingers as she's watching.
I'll shift back into Hamid.
Same
Little.
with me.
You make the slow transition back into your human forms, going back from 4 legs to 2. Thankfully, your clothes being dedicated, they return to cover up your form, not allowing you to expose anything vulnerable as you stand up. You know, when we were told to keep doing this over and over and over again, after enough days, it seemed like it was pointless. Like we weren't ever going to catch anything. But once again, we were wrong, and that's why the elders are the elders, isn't it? What you doing here?
Just looking.
For?
Well, we're a bit curious about you. I mean, we weren't aware that there were others in the city. As you probably know, the city isn't friendly to our kind.
Don't bullshit me. 2 of your other friends were just looking a few months ago.
Yeah,
We know there aren't a lot others in the city.
like I said, we're curious. Trying to suss you out. I mean, I'm sure your elders are aware what controls the city and why there aren't many of us there, right? Did they ever tell you why?
Do you really think you're in a position to be asking any questions? To suss us out anymore? Maybe we should ask you. Do you know what's in control of the city? Do you know what happened here?
Yes, I know what happened here. The last sept was destroyed by a leech. Or a few, technically.
Then you know there's no help coming for you if you get in the thick of it.
No, which is why we're trying to suss you out, because maybe we could have the same goal of getting rid of said leeches.
Oh, we most definitely have the same goal. Difference is, we're willing to do whatever it takes. Can you say the same for yourself?
What have you done?
At this point, she looks past you to the 5 that are assembled on the other side. And after a moment, one of them turns and starts running at a tilt towards the young woman you see walking along the perimeter. After a few moments, the individual just full on tackles them to the ground.
Is that really necessary?
If I said yes, would you believe me?
You might have to say more than yes to prove it. Is she part of the leeches? Is she a spy? Or are you just shitting in your own yard? Shitting where you sleep?
Doesn't matter to you, it's our yard. We can do what we want.
You can
You're
do
the
what you
one who
want.
came into our yard uninvited.
I mean, really, isn't it Gaia's yard?
I mean, that's fair.
Gaia doesn't really have much say in things anymore. She's a little too busy dying because of the overt caution you people take. The absurd amount of patience you have, as if we have time for that.
Well,
You've been here longer than us. What have you done?
I popped the
Hey!
leech last week. So there you go.
Just one?
It was a slow night.
Mm.
I was trying to get
mean-
information.
I mean, I was apparently responsible for the destruction of an entire energy plant, so there's that. There are
Yeah.
leeches there.
I thought you didn't want anything to do with that. Weren't you going to be all careful about it?
Shit happens.
Yeah, it does. It's too bad the only one of you with the right idea is dead. Wonder how that happened.
Yeah, there's a lot of cemeteries filled with glorious dead people.
Yeah, the ones that showed restraint when they should have shown aggression. The ones that withdrew when they should have tilted.
Yeah, but they don't write the history books, do they?
No, they die.
So do the ones that go full tilt.
At this point, you hear a dragging coming from behind you. A body being dragged along the ground as the one who'd set off after the young woman just pulls them by one foot, dragging them along the ground behind until they get back to the semicircle with the other 4 and toss them in front. Here's the deal. You trespassed. Gotta pay the toll. So you can either trust me that this is a worthwhile endeavor, that the one I've picked isn't just some sort of dare, or you can refuse. At which point, we have to deal with this little issue of trespass.
What's the dare?
Killer. She's a servant of the worm. She works for the leeches, and she's been spying on this campground for the last several weeks.
Why'd you let it happen?
Because sometimes we're not afraid of being seen. We want them to come for us. Because that means they have to show themselves. They don't get to hide behind corporate infrastructure. They don't get to hide behind petty games. They don't get to set the time and the place. We get to set it for them.
Hmm.
Or maybe she's just a poor little girl from Tennessee who moved down here with dreams of beaches and sunshine.
Your call, Jester. You don't have to do it. You know I will.
Well, with that being said, now I insist that it be Jester.
Answer me one question. Who destroyed the last sept? What was their name? If you think that they hide behind corporates, what was the last one's name?
You know, I thought it was a little cliche when I first heard it. But the more and more I heard the stories, the more it was described to me. It seems fitting, even if it is a shitty cocktail. That should be enough for you, I assume?
Fair enough. I'll shift into Krynos and kill the girl.
Okay, give me 2 rage checks.
Failed one, made one.
Okay. Shifting up into a hulking, feral, bestial form, the fur spreading out over your body once more, your mouth elongating into hungry jaws. You approach into the clearing, stalking closer and closer to the young woman. The 5 that stand nearby don't even twitch at the sight of your large Krynos form, but they also seem like they're at the ready should things go sideways, should you try to pull a fast one. You approach
Ari,
the woman. Yep, go ahead.
do any of them have a clave?
Give me a wits and investigation.
Jester is retreating more into Ryder at this point.
Okay.
Three successes.
Jester, as you pull back into yourself, trying to find whatever fingerprints there are of Ryder on your spirit, whatever inner strength and will there is inside, give me a composure and insight check.
Three successes.
Lucas, as you're scanning the others, looking for any semblance of a clave, you don't see any blades. There's no claves to be found on these 5 individuals, not even on the woman, the 6th in the forest on the other side of you. What you do see on one of them, however, is a pistol that is holstered on one of their hips. You pull in, Jester, to your innermost being, trying to find that place, that refuge within inside of yourself, even though you are shaking to your core, because there is an uncertainty here. You don't know if they're telling the truth. Are you just going to kill an innocent? And as you search within, don't think, just do. They're gonna kill you anyway, and to show anything else is a sign of weakness. If you're wrong, find an opportunity to make it right. Ryder's voice comes to you. You feel your spine stiffen like a cold icicle has been driven up your spine, reinforcing your resolve, giving you a separation of sorts, to the point that it's like you're watching a movie, almost like an out-of-body experience. You feel like it's not you doing what you're doing at this moment, but like you're watching someone else do it. And that doesn't make it any less horrifying. That doesn't make it any less painful. But it does give you a sense of detachment from the situation as you set upon the young woman. At first, there's no noise, but eventually, when the pain inflicts upon her, screams start emanating. But those screams are quickly replaced by gurgles as you go about your work with vicious ferocity. After a few moments, there's the semblance of a corpse, but it looks more like just utter ruin. And as you kind of lick the blood from your jaws, roll me a wits and occult.
Two successes.
There's a tang to the blood, a disgusting, bitter, ashy tang. It's not what you'd expect a full vampire's blood to taste like. That's completely unfathomable. But there are notes of it, odors of it. A kind of residue of the worm upon the blood in your mouth, to the point that it starts to roil your stomach. Give me a composure and stamina. Lucas, have you stayed tuned in to the phone call despite after the roaring and snarling? You hear a man's voice and you hear the phone hang up. Now, the whole time leading up to this, there was no response from the other side. She was talking incessantly, but there was nobody talking back. But you hear a heavy male sigh and a click on the phone. Jester, are you going to stay in your Krynos form, or are you going to shift back after all is said and done?
I'm gonna shift back after all said and done.
What was the result of your roll?
7 successes with a crit.
7 successes with the crit. Despite everything inside you wanting to reject anything in the contents of your stomach, possibly even the contents of your soul at this point, you keep your composure and you shift back.
Then I'll spit out the blood on the ground. I guess you were right.
Guess I was. Thanks for taking care of this for us. One of you's free to go.
How does the other one get free?
Depends. I couldn't go back to the elders saying that I came back with nothing, that I just let you both leave, so one of you is going to have a chat with them when they get back. It's up to you which one. Although if you want, we could take the old lady. She thinks she's being clever.
She is.
So which will
I'll
it
stay.
be? Oh, good. Sounds wonderful. Well then, you're free to go, Mr. Shaw. Thanks for visiting. Hope you got what you were looking for. And, we'll get Jester back to you one way or another.
He'll pause there for a second. He's just eyeing the one with the gun. He's not taking his eyes off anybody else. And then he'll turn and look at the one with the blood on their mouth and the back of the rest of them. Get yourself a duelist. Might come in handy later.
Sure it might. I'll keep that in mind. I'll pass the word along.
I'll keep you guys in mind. Jester, I'll see you soon.
I'm not.
I'll head back into the woods.
You turn. Still very aware of what you're leaving behind. It feeling like a bit of a burden, which is unexpected for you. Despite the fact that these individuals are still very new to you, they didn't outright reject you, which is a feeling you've gotten very used to. You've gotten used to being looked at, not just with suspicion, but outright disgust and shame. So as you make your way out of the park, into the woods, back towards the direction of your truck, it is like a string being pulled from behind you, trying to beg you to go back, to do the honorable thing and fight to the death to try and free her, but that's likely what would happen. Because even with a clave, one of the strongest weapons of the Guru, against 6, it's probably not enough. You might take 1 or 2 down. But it wouldn't be enough. You make your way back to the truck. And as you arrive, you can see Eliza emerge in her lupus form further in the woods. As she shifts back, she looks very, very troubled at this development, but she says, "There were others on the other side. They were baiting
That's what I was
you.
afraid of. Yeah.
You did the right thing. Jester's smart. She's clever. She'll be all right. But we have to get back and tell the others as quickly as possible."
I got one little thing. One little present I want to leave for them. Let's hop in the truck. I gotta find a payphone.
You climb into the truck. You start driving. Payphones aren't easy to find, to say the least. They're becoming less and less noteworthy. The more technology advances, the more the Weaver gets its claws into things and becomes more mobile. But eventually, along a run-down gas station, still near the outskirts, you do find a bank of payphones just outside of the gas station. Pulling over, where are you going to call?
Lucas is gonna make a call to 911.
Okay.
And he is going to report a murder and drug activity at the RV park.
Okay. with that, this scene will come to an end. We'll transition once more to just outside of those same chained, padlocked doors we saw last week. It looks like some new chains have been added, trying to secure the doors even more, but they rattle and they shake as if a battering ram is hitting them from the other side with each go. Here we find Mary. And here we find Bateman. Mary looks at the doors and looks back at Bateman. I'm not so sure about this. What are the others gonna think? You think they're gonna accept that kind of change? And who's to say I'm not the one who does it? The one who takes it? Bateman smirks slightly, looking at her. That's never been your way, your type, my dear Mary. If you'd have wanted it, you would have taken it from the very beginning. What could he have done to stop you? No, you like the freedom you get. And as long as you don't stand in the way, nothing has to change. That freedom can still be yours. Perhaps even more of it. She eyes him, looking him up and down, before just giving a snort and turning and walking away. Bateman looks towards the doors. How many have I given you? How many have I laid at your feet? How many have I offered? Because it's what I was told to do. Well, my dear prince, you get one more. And that's where our story comes to a close this evening. Thank you so much to these incredible players. Thank you to everybody watching at home. Thank you to the amazing Rage from Magi RPG and all of the new viewers who came and saw. You can follow St. Pete by Night, and you can see our many, many programs that we have to offer each and every week. This week, we have Don't Get Caught on Thursday. Our Hunter the Reckoning Chronicle, that's usually on Friday, is on a break for right now, so we don't have that. But on Saturday, we have a very, very special After Dark with a professional storyteller, DM Disaster, who is coming to join us. So that's going to be a lovely conversation. On Sunday, we have Bloody Strings. And next week on Tuesday, we'll be back with episode 31 of Rage Across Tampa. So stay tuned for that. Go follow St. Pete by Night on all the social media listed down below. And have a lovely evening. Good night, everybody.